we're taking a look at the Hayatoy's Leatherface from the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Uh, in my opinion, not a very good film, but I ended up getting this pretty cheap because I don't think many other people like the film either. And, it's not a terrible design for Leatherface. It's basically the same design with just a slightly uglier face, which is really saying something. But let's take him out of the package and take a look. And there he is out of the packaging, and there's a few things that I could already go over that I think are pretty shitty. Let's say something nice about him first. He comes with a really cool accessory. This chainsaw here is actually really dope. Let me take it out of his hands, which isn't too hard because these hands do not hold very well. And we get a very decent chainsaw, really nice details. I love the blood spatter all over it. And the chain link on it, that thing looks deadly. It's got a little bit of sharpness too, I dig that. Really great design on this. And then when it comes to the figure itself, it's a little bit of a letdown, man. Like, I wasn't expecting much, but my low expectations were still not even met. So the biggest issue, it's kind of hard to say, but I will say one of the bigger issues is this, what do you call it? I'm blanking on it. I don't cook. It's a fucking apron. It doesn't attach on the side, so it just kind of sits loose like this, and it swings around like crazy. So even though he has the design here of it being like cinched closed with his big old man gut hanging out, it does not. So it just flies loose like that. So you might have to glue it down, which honestly I could do. I'm probably going to add a little glue and hold it down like that, but that's a little disappointing. I feel like you shouldn't have to do that. Then his hands. He comes with other hands, which are open hands, and then I guess let me show you those real quick. So here's these open hands, which he comes in the packaging with these, and you can't really hold the chainsaw with these, so it's weird that he comes with those. You'd think those would be the added ones that you put on afterwards. And then he comes with this one, which is technically another hand, because the hand here pops in, and then he's holding this severed head, which, let's get a look at that. The details on the head are pretty trash. I think you can see this is supposed to be teeth on the top because it's painted white, but it's just like the upper lip. It like missed its mark entirely. And then the face is like very, very poor detail. I don't know, it's just like odd looking. I do like the viscera underneath. That's decent. But so that we got that, and that's a spoiler for the movie in case you cared. And then he's got really proportionately small hands. Like, these are super tiny little baby hands. They're terrible. For a guy of his size and his bulk, those should be a lot more meaty man hands. These should be shovel hands, man. But no, we get these little delicate things, and they don't hold his chainsaw very well. It's kind of a pain in the butt to wiggle it in here, because this chainsaw's actually got a pretty big handle. And then his hand is so tight and tiny, it doesn't really want to hold. So it just kind of, you gotta fit it in there until it's kind of holding, and then the peg is like super small, so the hand wants to fall out. It's a bit of a hassle. It shouldn't be that hard to get him to hold his chainsaw, considering that's the whole point. I will say the detail on his face isn't bad. It looks pretty accurate to the movie, and is pretty horrific. I do dig that. Articulation is pretty decent. Biggest complaint would be these arms don't have a swivel at like the elbow or the forearm or anything like this up here. It makes it harder for him to bring his arms in to hold the chainsaw. So it's just got kind of a outward, and then a bend, and then the wrists. And I don't know, because of that, you kind of have to jerk everything together. He doesn't want to get these arms close so you can get that proper chainsaw hold. And that pisses me off, because the whole point of this figure should be to get a proper chainsaw display. He's literally the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Leatherface, the dude who carries this freaking thing the whole movie. It should be a little more conducive to that. The figure should be able to pull that off, and that's upsetting. I do like the heft of him. He is built very heavy, and I feel like that works pretty well. I don't want to go over the articulation in full. It's pretty decent. Everything's basically what you would need for Leatherface to be displayed, except for these arms right here. So that's the biggest issue in my opinion. Like the head, it articulates pretty well. It's on a ball joint. And then, so let's do a size comparison. I do think he's pretty okay for 1/18 scale. Here he is next to, should probably be a little taller, but here he is next to a Joy Toy. He's just a little bit taller. He's probably like 4 0.1 inch or something like that, like just a little bit taller. And then here he is next to the boss fight zombie, which he's also a little taller than, and I think that's fair. He's a heavy guy, he's got big bulk, but his hands, that's the problem. Those hands are just too tiny. Even a Joy Toy, you'll look at the hands in comparison here. The Joy Toy's got bigger hands, and he's a smaller guy. Think about that. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So overall, I would say I can't recommend him unless you get him discount, or you really need a chainsaw and a poorly sculpted head. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think.